Hello and welcome to another edition of the Crush City Territory podcast. I am Tyler Stafford, joined by Josh Reddick. Chandler made it to Boston last night. I texted him this morning. He made it to his hotel room at 5:30 in the morning, and he will not be joining us. But I mean, listen, do you
No,
expect
no,
Santa?
no, no dedication for the post trade deadline
Mm-hmm.
podcast right there. So feel free to blow him up, everybody. Tell him that we cover this team for a reason, and we look to Chandler for all his ex tweets and updates, and
Mm-hmm.
for him to not be here is just shameful of him.
It's ridiculous. Although I will say, I don't know that I would expect Santa to work the day after Christmas, and I think trade deadline is a similar vibe for Chandler. So great job, Chandler, covering all of that. He got to he. This is kind of on him. It's kind of a monkey's paw situation. He was supposed to be
Yep.
flying as the trade deadline was wrapping up, and then he cheered for having a flight delayed, and then it got so delayed that he didn't make it to his hotel until 5:30 in the morning. So
I bet. Hey,
anyway,
I bet Tags is up doing something right now, productive,
mm, yeah, for
and they were on
sure.
the same flight.
Where's his podcast?
Boom,
Hop on here. There you go.
boom.
Well, Josh, we got a lot to talk about. There were quite a few moves that were made. We will get to the other ones, but let's talk about what everybody wants to talk about. Carlos Correa is back.
It's
It's
time,
his
baby.
time.
It's time.
Uh, it's go time. Josh, give me your thoughts. What does it mean to have Carlos Correa back on the Houston Astros?
First of all, I was in absolute shock that this deal got done because all we read about for 2 days was how they were into it, how they weren't into it, and then what, like an hour before, I think everybody was like, "Oh, the Correa deal has just cooled off," and then it just kind of came out of nowhere. So legit shock was probably my first initial reaction, and I really didn't even know it. I got like 3 or 4 text messages from people around the area saying, "Can you believe it?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And then I went to Twitter and, of course, or X, I'm sorry, and I found out what had happened. So yeah, legit shock. But I think this is the boost that I think this team and this city needed because we look at what they've gone through. They've obviously competed to the best of their ability to get to this point to where they are now. Still in first place, still have that top position at their backs, and this is just going to boost that clubhouse. It's going to boost that lineup, which is something that we've kind of struggled with all year. Is the run scoring consistency on run scoring has been a major issue. Now we get to plug in the number one into the middle of that lineup, probably hit him, fourth, fifth at this point. I would think fourth at this point, and he's going to be a bigger threat in the middle of that lineup than what they have had, and he's going to drive in more runs. He's going to make you a better offensive team, and we'll see what happens with him moving into third base. I think the transition to third is going to be a little bit, of a challenge for him, being a little closer. But the good thing is they have Dubon, who they can float around. They have Urias, who is basically the same guy as Dubon. Pena, when he gets back, just gives so many more open doors for guys to have those DH days for Pena to rest the rib cage. Guys that need that day off, Correa can bounce from short to third if he needs to. After 25, we'll figure that out. But right now, this is exactly what this team needed going down the stretch because they were hitting that wall of just being exhausted from just pounding and pounding out this season up until this moment.
How about a first game back for Correa and the Astros against the Red
Breggy.
Sox and Alex Bregman? What a
Not only
matchup.
not only that, you get to go in there and you said if you have seen the SpongeBob SquarePants meme of Squidward looking out of his
Of
window and
course.
Patrick, and so that's how Bregman's going to feel right now watching Correa and Altuve walk into Fenway Park later on today. But it's cool because it's a double feature. We get first game for Correa on the road in the Astros uniform, first game back in the Astros uniform in Fenway, and then you come back home to Daikin and they're playing the Red Sox all over again. So it's kind of a full circle moment, and what a great spot because that guy has had some very good success against that ball club in the past, whether it be postseason or not. For Correa, we talked about it boosting this team. Like Correa coming back here is exactly what he wanted. We saw yesterday in his exclusive interview about this was the only team he wanted to go to. This is where he felt comfortable. This is home for him. So imagine the level of comfortability for him to come back where he grew up, where he made a name for himself, and not only that, just where he succeeded as well as he could. And going to Minnesota for a few years kind of may have diminished that because it looked like he didn't have a very good time there. Injuries were a thing, but it looked like you could tell Correa really didn't want to be in Minnesota. So for him to get out of there is only going to make him that much more of a better player and make him want to come to the ballpark more every day.
Yeah, Chandler did some great reporting on the deal and kind of how it came to be. So let's kind of go through the details of the deal here. So Correa is signed through 2028. There are some vesting options after that, where the team could, choose to continue to have Correa at a little. It's like 25 million, 20 million, 15, and 10 if you wanted to keep vesting each of those years. But those are club options, or they vest if he like wins World Series MVP, which I feel like if that happens, you're
It's
probably
very
okay.
doable.
You're probably
You're
okay
okay
with
writing
paying
the check.
it. Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's probably okay. So for now, we're going to treat this as essentially a 3.5 year deal. They're paying about $6 million prorated over the rest of this year. So the Astros are above the luxury tax, something that, in the offseason, Jim Crane was really adamant about getting underneath that luxury tax. They obviously made some moves like moving Ryan Presley, Rafael Montero, guys like that to get under the luxury tax and have that financial flexibility. But as Jim Crane has shown throughout his ownership tenure, if there's a move that he thinks makes the Astros legitimately better and gives them a chance to win a World Series, he will do it. He did it again. And this deal, really seems like came together a lot because Jim Crane wanted Carlos Correa back on the Astros. So Correa had a full no trade clause. The Twins couldn't shop him, right? I mean, it's just if he felt like being traded somewhere, he could make that available. And like you said, he made it very clear there's only one team that he was interested in going in. So we've joked all year that the Astros have been running on the power of friendship. The power of friendship is what made this
It
deal
grows
happen.
stronger.
Yeah,
It grows
Correa.
stronger. Yeah, the connection with Jim Crane and all those conversations Carlos probably had with Jim and the front office all the way through his tenure here probably definitely made this a lot easier to happen.
So the trade is essentially the Twins are paying a third of his salary. They're paying about 30 million of the 100 million left. The prospect who went over, no disrespect to a gentleman named Matt Mikulski, who the
Hope
Astros
we got
picked.
that right.
Sure. Former second round pick. Way to go. He is 26 years old with a 7 ERA in A ball. So I don't think that was a move that the Twins were doing for prospects, right? This was
Right.
really just Correa wanted out. The Twins didn't have a lot of options. Correa said, I'm going to one team. And it really came down to how much are the Twins going to have to pay. And Jim Crane said, all right, I'll take on 70 million of this. So what's really interesting is if you remember when Correa hit free agency, the Astros offered him what at the time was the largest contract in Astros history, which was or in Jim Crane's history, I guess. 6 years, $150 million. The Astros now have essentially signed Correa for 3.5 years for $75-ish million, which is literally exactly what that free agent contract is. So really interesting to come back on that there. Like you said, we'll figure this out in 2025. You're gonna have to do some roster reconstruction in the offseason. Paredes, we now know, is going to be out for a good while. A torn hamstring. Goodness. That's
At
not
least we
fun.
know. At least we know, though.
We do. Yep.
We're knowledgeable of the situation. That's kind of a win in this whole rigmarole of scenarios.
Rigmarole. I
Yeah, you
like
like that?
that. Yeah. So, they're going to have to figure that out. We've talked about in our last episode that there's not a lot of confidence that Paredes is a second baseman in the future. You've got Jeremy Pena for the next 2 years. You've got Correa for the next 3 years. You got Christian Walker for the next 2 years. It's not clear what will happen, but that's a future Astros problem. Right now, you filled in a hole at third base. Now, of course, Correa has not been a third baseman I have no doubt that he will be able to just show up today, later on today, and play third base, and it'll be
Yep.
just fine. Of course, he's done it in the World Baseball Classic, right? For Puerto
Yeah.
Rico, he played third base for them. He's going to be fine. He will be just fine over there at third base. I did want to talk a little bit about kind of the parallels of Correa being willing to move to third base and also Jose Altuve in the offseason being willing to move off of his position to left field. Josh, you've been in a lot of clubhouses. You've been a lot around a lot of superstars. Like how how rare is that for a player to say, "Yeah, I'm a superstar, but if it helps the team win, I'll move to a different position. I don't have any ego about that." Like what does that mean about Altuve and Correa and how they feel about the team aspect of the Astros?
It's very rare because you think about all these guys that do it, and you look at guys like Fernando Tatis has done this and has become an elite right fielder. Javier Baez has turned his career around by moving out there to the outfield. So it just shows that as the years go on, it seems like players are getting more and more okay with these kind of moves if it does help your team be better and you be better. Essentially, Carlos Correa is Carlos Correa, but if it takes whatever it takes to be a winner and to win. And I think coming into this clubhouse specifically makes that a little bit easier when you look at guys like Altuve. I mean, this is a Hall of Famer changing positions. I mean, that's just absurd when you hear about guys like that being willing to change positions nonetheless. But I think it's just a matter of being happy and wanting to win. I think that's where it really all comes down to it. Because they know what it takes. They know what it takes to win, whether it's your normal position, your second, third, fourth position. They're going to go out there and bust their ass to play hard. So it's all about winning, and that's what it takes. And if you're not willing to win, then you look at Rafael Devers. I mean, look at what he's gone through. This guy is, absolutely silent. Showed up Will Clark several times for defensive work. Like that's something you don't do in baseball. You don't show up guys that are just absolute studs and were really good and just shows how bad of a teammate you really are. And it's showing because I think the Giants have the worst record in baseball since they've got him. So these things matter. When you don't come in and adapt to that team chemistry, it affects everyone, not just you.
So I think we all know what Correa means on the field to the Astros. Now, again, he's having relatively a down year. He has a 92 OPS plus right now.
Mm-hmm.
He hadn't played a full season since 2023. He was injured last year after having a really good start to the year. He had a 151 OPS plus last season, which is the second highest of his career before being injured. Obviously, hasn't reached that this year. He's going to play great defense. He's got a cannon at third. It's going to be fun to watch that. But Josh, walk us through. You mentioned the Astros kind of hitting a wall in the last couple of
Mm-hmm.
weeks. As the trade deadline has passed, and now you look towards the remainder of the season, the playoff push, and then the playoffs itself. What does Carlos Correa bring to the Astros clubhouse in terms of leadership, in terms of energy? Like, what does it mean to have him in the clubhouse every day?
I think more or less. I mean, obviously, we know what he can do on either side of the baseball, but I think the leadership and the presence he brings on this ball club in that clubhouse is going to speak volume because they didn't really have that loud, outspoken leader this year. Altuve is never going to be the outspoken leader. He's going to go about his day. He's going to show you what it takes to be a winner every day. And if you talk him to, then he'll talk quietly to you. But one thing that always gets in my head about him, Correa being a great leader, is you look at the video from 2020 of him getting on Fromber on the mound in the middle of, I think it was the ALCS, maybe against Tampa.
Poking him in the chest, right?
Yeah,
Remember?
like getting
Yeah.
on him and like, look, this is you. Like this is where we need you. Like that kind of deal. Like there hasn't been a guy like that this year. Well, Christian Walker can't be that guy because he's a new guy. Very good leader, very good player, but like this is something where he has to adapt to a new ball club and learn. And then after that, there's really Dubon. I mean, we talk about Dubon being more of a leader, I think, than hardly anybody in that clubhouse because he's just there. He's having fun. But I really don't know if Mauricio knows how to be that leader because he's never been that guy. So for Cray to come back in, he brings that, astounding presence into the clubhouse. He brings that presence into the field. He brings it into the dugout. So from top to bottom, Carlos is just going to be your outspoken leader. He's not going to take any BS from anybody on this team. And this is what it's about. What he said, it's one goal in mind: to come back, win championships, and he's going to make sure that he can get everybody on that train as well.
So you joined the Astros in 2017. I assume that Correa was one of, if not, the leader in the clubhouse. Obviously, there were a lot of veterans, right? You had
Mm-hmm.
Carlos Beltran. You had a lot of older veteran guys, but I'm assuming that Correa seemed like a leader at the time. Do you know how old he was in 2017?
24.
He was 22 years old. He was
22.
Cam Smith's age
That was my
in
first
20.
guess.
But I
And
mean,
3 years in though.
but
He was 3. But
that's
yeah, so when you look,
crazy.
so back then he may have been like, he wasn't as vocal yet, at least when I first got there. I think the more vocal leader that first step that year was probably like Dallas,
Mm.
somewhere around there, because he had been the guy for a couple of years when they were struggling, and now that they were getting good, he kind of jumped on. But yeah, I mean, heck, when I came into that clubhouse, like everybody was like, "Oh, Reddick's here. He's a veteran. He's gonna be a leader," and I'm like, "Why?" Like we have Brian McCann. We just got Brian McCann, who's pretty much a Hall of Famer. We have, Charlie Morton, who came over, who's kind of a quieter kind of guy, but still very reliable to talk to. Dallas, I wasn't going to come in and step on any toes. I wasn't looking to step on anybody's toes when I came in. I was just looking to fall in and kind of be that, silent leader to come around until they were ready. And, I didn't really get into that, veteran kind of. I wouldn't even really think I was. I wouldn't even say I was a or the leader of that clubhouse. I was just there to help and assist whenever I needed it, and guys came to me, then I was ready to give what I could.
I mean, Astros aside, what a cool baseball story to have your number one overall pick, a guy that won Rookie of the Year, that has won World Series championships here with the Astros, or championship with the Astros, to
Just one.
just the one. There was another shortstop that won World Series MVP the second time, right? But
Mm-hmm.
you know, it, sometimes you get these guys that come back as kind of the last hurrah, right? Like you got Andrew McCutchen with the Pirates over the last year and a half, right? Where guys at the
Mm-hmm.
end of their career will come back to where they made it. But Carlos Correa is 30, right? I mean,
In his prime. He's
I mean,
technically in his prime.
yeah, he's back. The Astros have him signed for the next 3.5 years. Like this is a really neat story. We will talk a little bit more about Correa and some of the other deals right after this message from DraftKings.
Nothing beats relaxing on a hot summer day and watching baseball. And the simplest way to get in on the action is to download the Pick 6 app from DraftKings. It's crazy simple. Just pick more or less on the stats for 2 or more of your favorite players, and boom, you're in the mix for big cash prizes. Nail your picks and you're heating up. Pick 6 brings upside with payouts up to 500 times. Pick 6 from DraftKings is the most fun way to play fantasy sports. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code FOUL. That's code FOUL for new customers to get a special sign-up offer. Better payouts, bigger wins. Only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
All right, Josh. Correa was one addition, but that was not the only move that the Astros made at the deadline. I would say kind of the second tier move that we'll talk about is Jesús Sánchez coming over from the Marlins. So the Astros traded Jesús Sánchez, or they traded Ryan Gusto, which we talked about in our last episode. Threw 100 pitches for the Astros, getting out there, but he is now going over to the Marlins. They also traded an infield prospect named Chase Jaworski and an outfield prospect, Esmil Valencia. Both of those guys are young in A-ball. They're several years away from the majors. Also not in the top 15 prospects in the Astros system. But Jesús Sánchez is, again, exactly what we talked about the Astros needing. He is a left-handed hitting outfielder. Dana Brown has already said he's going to play mostly left field for the Astros, which probably means that Altuve is going to be playing
Back to second.
quite a bit of second base for the rest of the year. If Chandler were here, maybe he would yell at us for that, but I think that's probably likely.
Pretty obvious what's going to happen here.
He's also going to be able to spell Cam Smith in right field every once in a while. But this is a guy who has been a average major league bat for the majority of his career. He's 6 years into his career. He has a 100 OPS plus, so dead on, you know, an average hitter, which is exactly what the Astros need. He's a lefty. He is also team controlled, so he is in his arbitration years. He is will be in arbitration through the 2027 season. So the Astros have him this year and then the next 2 seasons under team control. Thoughts on that deal? How does that fit for this team and beyond?
I mean, it was definitely somebody I wasn't thinking. This is a name that I didn't think was going to be even mentioned for the Astros. But we've been talking for how long about them needing a left-handed bat, and more importantly, the left-handed outfield bat to accommodate a lot of those righties in that lineup. So I think we're going to see Altuve back at second a lot more. Sorry, Chandler, but that's just the way the ball's going to roll at this point. And barring some off days here and there, we'll probably see Altuve maybe out there a little bit less. Maybe some more DH days until we figure out what the hell's going on with Jordan and when we're going to get him back. So I think it signs more DH days more than it does for him to play second base because, Dubon is going to need to get his at-bats. He's obviously a major upgrade defensively than Altuve. So I see it being more of a DH responsibility until Jordan can get back. And then from that point on, then you're just going to have to roll him out there with your matchups. When Sanchez gets those days off, you throw him out and left. But for Sanchez to come around, this is a guy who has been, like you said, he's average in a Miami Marlins uniform. So you got to think he'll probably be a little bit better, if not significantly better, with this ball club. He got a lot more protection, a little bit more, excitement to come to the ballpark every day. You get out of Miami. I don't know how they feel about Miami. I think Miami is very, very busy, very crowded. Not my cup of tea. You don't have to go to a ballpark where you're putting in, maybe 1,000 to 2,000 fans a night, depending on who's on the road, who's coming in, obviously. So I think it's just a better atmosphere all around for Jesus to come in and kind of maybe get a little extra kick in his step to be on a winning team for one, but to come over to a team like the Astros, already in first place, and just be a better overall environment, in my opinion. I think getting out of Miami is definitely going to be beneficial for him, not just on the field, but off the field as well, because you come to a more relaxed area and a more of a baseball town. Houston is definitely a way bigger baseball town than Miami is ever going to be. So I think we're going to see a little bit better performance from Sanchez. Where they're going to hit him in the lineup is where I kind of get a question mark. Do they throw him in the middle in the early parts? Do they throw him, between those righties at the back end of the middle? Or do you let him go 7-8 and kind of float down there and pick up the bottom of the lineup? So I'm interested to see what Joe is going to do and how they're going to script, kind of write this lineup. I'm really excited to see what the lineup comes out as tonight, to see what their plan is moving forward.
Yeah, another one of those Astros acquisition. I mean, this is just classic Astros where it's a guy whose numbers don't reflect the underlying skill that seems to be evident. So if you look at his baseball savant page, he's in the 93rd percentile in bat speed. He swings the bat really hard. He's barreling and his hard hit percentage are both in the 70th percentile. Average exit velo is 92 miles an hour. That's in the 87th percentile. So this is a guy that swings hard, hits the ball hard. The biggest thing that's holding him back is his launch angle sweet spot. Basically, when he is hitting the ball, if he's launching it at the correct angle with, as hard as he swings and, the power that he can hit, it's only at the 10% threshold, right? So he's not hitting the ball with the correct angle. But again, that is something that the Astros are really good at identifying. You've got this raw talent. How do we help you transform that? So, I mean, you're right. Like, this could be a guy that the Astros unlock something in. He could also just be an average major league hitter, and that would be a big step up for the Astros. But he doesn't strike out at a ridiculous margin. He's right down the middle for most major league hitters. There's nothing concerning there about throwing a guy in your lineup and he's gonna have a week of golden sombreros, right? Like, he's gonna hit it. He hits it hard. He swings hard. Certainly somebody that you could see the Astros unlocking. So another really interesting pickup. The last trade that the Astros made was for utility player, like you said, kind of a Mauricio Dubon type, in Ramon Urias from the Orioles. He was traded for minor league pitcher Twine Palmer.
Great baseball name.
All-time name, great name. He was a 19th round pick of the Astros last season. Another one of those guys that the Astros tend to identify came from a school called Connors State College in Warner, Oklahoma. 19th round pick, but had a 2.98 ERA in A ball. So, a guy that could be something at some point, but nowhere near the big leagues yet. So again, the Astros got three guys that you assume are going to be playing a good majority of your games the rest of the season. Urias may end up being kind of your first guy off the bench, for pinch hitting, and then his positional flexibility allows him to play a lot of different positions. But the Astros got three guys that are going to help them in the big leagues this season. Did not give up any top prospects. All it took for Correa, as my dad said, and I've said on the podcast, all it takes is money to get Carlos Correa. That's all it took for the Astros to acquire him. What are your thoughts on this deadline, Josh, of the three guys that they got? We'll get to kind of some of the misses here in a minute, but the three that they got, like, how would you grade that overall?
Oh, I'm giving that an A. I mean, this is a very good, deadline move for them. They didn't have a major haul. They didn't get rid of hardly anything that they wanted to keep. They got to keep. So I'm looking at it as a major win, A+. Like, they didn't give up any of their top guys to get a guy like Correa. Just alone to not give up top guys to get Correa is a win in itself. But then you get two more trades and where you don't give up major prospects, and to give up high, A ball guys. That's pretty crazy, because you hear about all these trades being happening and these names that you never really heard of before. This is all a coin flip for these guys. They may or may not make it. You see all these things about trades and years, and how many of them work out for both sides. Like, it's very rare that they all work out for both sides in baseball, because you look at, let's look at the perfect one, the Kyle Tucker trade. Obviously, with Paredes being hurt, like, that trade has worked out magnificently for both sides, and that's just a win already. That's the one. Those are the trades you look forward to. So I think the Astros definitely would have won this one, regarding if you're looking at now to the next 2 or 3 years, because we don't even know if guys like Twine Palmer are even going to even touch the big leagues or sniff anything higher than AA or AAA. So all in all, this is a huge win for Jim Crane and the Astros, for this organization. And man, what a great way to come to the ballpark next week. The only bummer is here they're starting a 9-game road trip tonight.
So August 11th is the next home game.
So you got to wait a while, save up your money, get some tickets, sell out that first home game back for Correa, and let him know that you're there to support him and welcome him back.
I was I had tickets in the cart for that August 11th game, and then I realized that Olivia's first day of kindergarten is the next day, and I was like, probably
can't do that.
Probably shouldn't go to the ballpark.
I'm not going to lie. Before. That's probably one of the only times I've checked my calendar to hope I was working the game, just to kind of get the reaction. Yeah. But I am not. I'm actually covering Monday against the Marlins. So maybe I'll get to see Ryan Gusto pitch.
Well, I did get Savannah Bananas tickets. So
I don't know you got the lottery? Nice.
I did. Yeah, I did. So I'll be there on Friday. I mean, you can get some, right? You're a former banana yourself, right?
I could. I know I could. I won't be able to make it, so to speak. I could get tickets, but I just won't be able to make it. If I was getting tickets, I'd be playing. I wouldn't be looking at tickets. But,
there you go. You'll be out. Well, we will talk a little bit more about the deals that didn't get done, and kind of wrap up our thoughts here on the trade deadline right after this message from our friends at Foul Territory.
Kratz, at some point, we're going to laugh about how healthcare was so reactive and not proactive. And we're starting to change that with Superpower. They believe every human has 100+ year potential, and they're here to help you get there. I'm a big believer in this. I just started the journey, so I'm excited about it. And what do you think?
As a player, you're always looking ways to improve yourself, improve your health. And this is an easy way. Superpower's made it way easier than when I was playing. You had to go get all these lab panels, and it was a long, drawn-out, expensive process. but now with superpower. So this is awesome for me. I'm excited about it.
They'll send a licensed professional to your home, or you can visit a nearby lab. For a limited time, the FT fam can get $50 off an annual Superpower membership by using code FOUL at checkout. Just head to superpower.com and use code FOUL to get our exclusive discount. Your biology decoded, your blueprint activated with Superpower. After your purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them, and please support FT and tell them we sent you.
All right. So Josh, there were some other deals that the Astros were working on. We talked about the need for starting pitching. The Astros did trade with the Marlins, but not for Sandy Alcantara, who ended up staying with the Marlins, was not traded. There were some other starters that were moved. Astros legend Adrian Hauser was on the move. Joe Ryan was floated. He ended up not leaving the Twins either. The big one was Dylan Cease, somebody that, the Astros were definitely interested in, were in talks for. It was an interesting situation because the Padres made moves to win
To
this
be better.
season, right? Like they are in the playoffs. They are looking to win now. They made a whole lot of moves to improve their team this season. But Dylan Cease was somebody who was certainly available. A guy that is really underperforming this season, but has been a very good pitcher, and is a rental, was going to be a free agent after this season. The Astros did not end up making a trade for any pitching, and also gave away one of the guys that have been starting in Ryan Gusto. So we can talk about that for a minute, but I did want to point out for Dylan Cease, the reports were that towards the end they never really got too close. The final package that I saw was Spencer Arrighetti plus 3 prospects for a rental of Dylan Cease. I agree. I think that's not what you want to be doing when you've got 4 or 5 years left of control for Arrighetti. So the Astros missed out on starting pitching, but I think that tells us that a lot of these guys that are injured, the Astros are expecting them back, and Spencer Arrighetti's next start will presumably be in Houston. He should be back relatively soon. You also have Christian Javier coming back. You've got Luis Garcia at some point. I'm sure I'm also forgetting 18 other guys that are
Definitely
on the,
more other guys
on the IL that could be back at some point. Obviously, you've still got McCullers, Braden Walter. Good Lord. Hopefully there's nothing. Brandon. They're all the same.
It's all good.
Brandon Walter, all these guys who, hopefully can come back. We haven't had an update on Walter and his elbow. We'll see about that. But thoughts on the Astros not getting starting pitching? Like, what are you looking for the rest of the season from the rotation here?
Well, I think it shows a lot how they're relying on a guy like Arrighetti to come back and be effective and be healthy. And definitely the Dylan Cease price was way too high to ask for something like that. And, if we're looking at 2 more years of control, that might be a little bit easier to swallow when you make a deal like that. But I mean, you're looking at 2.5 months maybe of a guy who's obviously not the best he's been ever either. So I think the asking price for performance was definitely through the roof. I mean, we're asking for that kind of haul back. We're looking at looking for somebody's number 1, if not number 2, who's been having a fantastic year. So good on them for not pulling that trigger, but it just shows that Dana Brown is really comfortable with the guys he has coming back, because these guys have had success before. It's just a matter of, are they fully healthy? Can they stay healthy? Because when they are healthy, we know what they're capable of. And anywhere between those 3 guys, if you can get 2 of those guys back to where they were before they got hurt, then obviously you're going to be completely happy with not making a trade for starting pitching, because, if you did make that spot, they all come back healthy, then you got a major roster problem moving forward with that. But I think it just puts a lot of weight on a guy like Arrighetti. He's the closest one back. He's the one that everybody's going to be looking at to, fill that back in rotation spot now to kind of carry this team over that baby hump that they need to get over, because, when Lance does come back, we just don't know what we're going to get with Lance on a daily basis out there. So for him to be able to come back and kind of give that, safety cushion, so to speak, is going to make them kind of bridge better to the front of their rotation. and hopefully give their bullpen a little bit more rest by having those guys back.
So right now you've got two starters that you really rely on, obviously, in Fromber and Hunter Brown. Those are your 1-2 in every playoff series. You are going to feel really good about having those guys out there. And then you have quite a few guys, like we said, Arrighetti. You've got, I didn't even mention earlier, but JP France should be back by the end of the season. You got Luis Garcia. You got Christian Javier, who's close to being back as well. Obviously, Lance McCullers. So you've got 4 or 5 guys who are starters who you have seen had success in the past. And the truth is, as we've talked about, in the playoffs, you need 3.5 starters, right? You need your 1-2. You need a guy that can take the ball in game 3. And then in game 4, you need a guy that can go 4 innings, 5 innings, maybe. And then, the rest of your back end of the rotation guys can also fill in some bullpen spots. We've seen Christian Javier do that in the playoffs before. So you really just need of those guys coming back, you need like 2 of them to really have success over the rest of the season and to be reliable starters. And the Astros are going to roll the dice and hope that of those 5 guys, 2 of them can find success and, can get on a heater in October and carry them through. Couple other guys that were moved at the deadline, a few other, former Astros. Phil Maton is now with the Rangers. The Tigers got Charlie Morton, so Hinch is, I joked with Chandler. Chandler said, "Look, the Tigers are also, reuniting. They got Hinch and Morton back on there."
Yep.
I said, "Tigers, that's copycats. Look at them. They're trying to copy the Astros
sure
there." But so some other guys on the move there, but overall, like you said, I think this was a really, really good deadline for the Astros. This is a team that has already had a lot of success this year. And we've also talked about, you don't even have Jeremy Pena back yet, which he should be in hopefully today. We'll see when the lineup comes out, but he should be in the lineup today. Jordan at some point. You got guys coming back soon. Give us just your thoughts the rest of the season. What are your expectations? What do you see this team being able to do for the rest of the season?
Well, I think they made all the right moves they needed to get over that hump. I definitely had them winning the division before these moves were made. But I think these moves were kind of necessary because after they made the playoffs, what were they going to do? They didn't really have that lineup presence to get to that next round, to get to the World Series. So I think these moves they made, and it all comes back with, it all kind of leans on Arrighetti and, the Javier and the JP France and the Luis Garcia. It's going to be, what can those guys do down the stretch to get us to where we need to be? Because I have no doubt that Correa is going to come back and jump right back on his horse and be the Correa that we know he can be at the plate. So I think it really relies on the pitching staff coming back and being healthy. Because if those guys don't come back, if they come back and they don't do well, or they come back and aren't healthy, then it becomes a big major question mark, because we don't have that little second trade deadline anymore that could kind of be a safety net for a lot of teams. So if they don't come back, they've got to reach within and try to figure out a way to muster up to the rest of the season. But I think this is a step where they take the division and kind of run with it now. I think the Eugenio Suarez trade to the Seattle Mariners does absolutely nothing for that ball club. He might hit a few more homers, but I just don't think that was the move that got them past the Houston Astros. It definitely wasn't that, because they've shown that they can handle that Seattle Mariners pitching staff when they're at their best. And one big bopper who strikes out 85% of the time isn't going to change that.
I mean, both the Mariners and Rangers made some deals to improve their team. The Rangers have been heating up. That offense is kind of back to where you would expect them to be.
Yeah, but they don't have the pitching. They don't have the pitching outside of DeGrom and Uvalde. Like they don't have.
I mean,
the right pieces
outside of Brown and Fromber. I'm not sure the Astros have the pitching either.
This is true.
Yeah.
I like I do, but now I like the Astros lineup
Yeah.
a little bit better now than I do that Texas Rangers one. So they definitely made some moves to get better. I just don't think either team made enough moves to catch up to Houston.
So as we record Friday morning, the Astros are 4.5 games up on the Mariners. They're 5.5 games up on the Rangers. Both of those teams, again, are in for this year. They made moves to try to win the division. It's gonna be a fight for the rest of the season. We'll see how that plays out. The Astros start, like you said, a 9-game road trip here. They've got the Red Sox tonight. Sunday morning, do you know what time the Astros are playing on the Roku channel on Sunday morning?
Sunday morning, that's Roku. That means it's a stupid time. So probably like 12:35 or something.
10:30 a.m. Central Time, Sunday morning.
So 11:30 Eastern Time. That is so
everybody
stupid.
Grab your donuts and kolaches. Got to do it quick at Shipley before the venture capitalists come in and ruin the recipe. So everybody grab that Sunday morning. You get to watch early morning baseball. Then the Astros go to Miami, so you might see old friend Ryan Gusto in the Miami series. You'll see that, and then next weekend at the Yankees. So a big road trip here for the Astros. We will continue to follow that. We will keep you updated. We will wake Chandler up from his nap at some point. He will be back on the next show. Thank you all for listening. Please remember to rate and review. You can subscribe on YouTube, like this video, all of the other things that Chandler says while I tune out at the end of the video. We will talk to you soon. Thank you guys again for listening. Have a great day. Bye.
See you guys.